How do you go from an employment nightmare to doing your dream job? Welcome back to the podcast that shows you even the most successful people had to start from the bottom. I'm Matt Kerridge, and this is I'd Quit But I'm Broke, presented by Student Beans. Each week we get a new celebrity guest on to dust off their old CVs and share with us their horror stories and funniest moments for our amusement. This week we have TV presenter Nicole Holliday. Cheers for coming on, Nicole.
Hello, well done. That was good. I like that.
So for those who aren't so familiar with your work, could you just give a brief description of what it is you do?
I am a hero, a legend to many. I'm a presenter, mainly in football, but I also do entertainment stuff on the TV, radio, online. Yeah, it's basically me. It's so weird talking about yourself.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy I'm on this side. So before we jump into all of that stuff that you're doing now, let's go all the way back to when you were a child.
Small child.
It's the little icebreaker question. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, you know what? Probably, I think I wanted to be a ballerina at one point. Standard, classic. My parents put me in, you know, those silly dance classes where actually all you're doing is running around in a tutu with a wand.
Yeah, and grabbing the little rail.
I'm like, I need to become one of those teachers because they are making a fortune doing absolutely nothing. So I did that for a while and wanted to be a ballerina.
So going from dreams into reality, what was the first job you ever did?
Oh, God. When I was actually at the Brit School, so 16, and I got a job at Topshop in Oxford Street, RIP, massive. It was like 7 billion floors, and we were in the basement, Topshop shoes. It was an interesting place to work. We just had a lot of customers who, you know, you'd come to London and you'd be like, wow, the flagship store, this is amazing. And people just take it a bit far. And Christmas time, because obviously I worked in the school holidays, I then take on more shifts. And I always got the worst ones over Christmas.
Yeah, they always give them to 16-year-olds.
Yeah, and every Boxing Day. And I always had like the 7 a.m. one.
Oh, dear.
And public transport isn't running at that time. So my parents had to drive me into Oxford Circus on Boxing Day. And you just get people were lunatics. They'd come, they would queue. The queues outside on Boxing Day on Oxford Street were horrendous, and then they'd open the doors and it was like you'd never, you know, all those videos you see of Black Friday, mainly in America, let's be honest, and it's chaos. It was like that, and they'd run down screaming, and you're like, dude, what are you screaming for? Run down screaming.
Really need those shoes.
But yes, so honestly desperate for the shoes, and the discount on Boxing Day wasn't great. It was all very bizarre. One time someone was sick. Like actually, and I don't know what that was from. Was it like the excitement? Did they eat too much Christmas dinner the night before? No idea. They vommed everywhere. It was just an absolute shocker. To be fair, I probably ran and hid in the stockroom for a while. I was so naughty.
I mean, it's one of the biggest and most popular shops on one of the busiest shopping streets in the world. Like, how did you put up with that at 16 years old?
You know what? That's the thing. I was quite naughty. Although, so I think they all thought I was terrible at my job, which to be fair, I was really bad.
You're not getting paid enough to care.
Do you know what I mean? Pay me £2 more and maybe we'll see if there's a difference.
So looking back at it now, is there anything like stands out to you about that job?
You know what? Obviously, like your first job, you always remember it, don't you? And I mean, you know, I want to say something like, it taught me great work ethic. It didn't. I was awful. What stands out for me, I had a terrible ex who I got with when we worked together there, and he had a foot fetish.
Oh.
Which is really appropriate because we worked in Topshop shoes. So that's probably the highlight of working there.
Do you have any presenting experiences which are just terrible? Like, do you have a horror story of presenting?
Oh, a recent one. You know what? I've been quite lucky that a lot of the presenting jobs I've done have been fun, great, like really good experiences. And then recently in the Euros, actually.
Okay, so just this summer.
So recently. Oh, it was awful. It was the worst. I got asked to host a fan zone.
Okay, whereabouts?
Flatiron Square.
Okay.
Yeah, so like London Bridge. And I got there and it was quite unorganised in the first place. In the sense of they just didn't really know what they wanted me to do. Basically, they had a stage in front of a big screen. So that's never going to go down well because really you've got and it was predominantly guys, you know, I was going to say I've got loads of guys and it was basically a bunch of men that have been drinking quite a lot already. It was an earlier kickoff. It was the 5 p.m. kickoff. Got a lot of drunk people. So they're all quite merry. There's quite a weird atmosphere in the sense of very heightened already at 5 o'clock. So I get there and they show me where the stage is, and already like there's all benches full of people. So Ollie Murs and Mark Wright were there with their mates, and they're like right at the front.
And they were hosting with you, or
no, just there drinking with their pals. I kind of the girl that was running it was like, I was kind of like, right, so what do you want me to do? She said, before the match, and bless her, she didn't really know anything about football, so she was like, to the point where she was like, is there like a half time? I was like,
okay, so she knew nothing.
How
about
long
football.
is half time? I was like, oh Christ, okay. So pre-match, they basically wanted me to get up there with a microphone and just do a kind of intro. But she'd said, talk about your thoughts on the tournament so far, la la. I was like, no one cares. I'm going to tell you now, because I have no ego either. None of these people care about my thoughts on this tournament so far. You know, you could probably get about 10 people that would turn up to an event to actually care about what I was saying. And bless them, they're good fans of mine on Instagram. But you know, these random men do not care about what I have to say about my thoughts. If I'm there interviewing an ex-player or something different, they will be listening. Me chatting at them when they just want to watch this screen. They just want to see the build-up, drink with their mates, and get into the spirit of things. So anyway, I was like, oh, Christ, this is a terrible idea. So I said, are you okay with me sort of kind of getting the vibe, seeing how it goes? Yeah, cool. I also had to do house rules, which is never going to go down well, which is basically stuff. It was literally stuff like, we want you to have fun, get into the spirit of things, but don't have too much fun.
Yeah, I know those sort of things.
And it was stuff like that. Oh, you know, we like our tables. We like having you here. To have you here, we need to have our tables. Don't stand on them. So basically, I'm like the fun police. So that's, again, never going to be met with like a great, reception. So I got up there, and at first people were quite nice, hey, whatever. And then, trying to do a bit of chat, and then I could feel them drifting a little bit. So I was like, right, okay, wrap it up, talk about house rules. Then they also had to, it was England, Germany. Yeah. So then I had to say that we've got, different fans here. So basically it needs to be a nice atmosphere. Well, that went down terribly.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Absolutely terribly. So I was like, right, okay, wrapped it up, got off. And I was like, wow, that was a lot. And they were like, oh my God, you did so well. You handled that so well. Well done. I was like, okay. Anyway, halftime, get up there. She wants me to chat the whole of the halftime.
For the full 15 minutes.
I was like, dude, about what? The first half was quite boring, to be honest. There's not much to talk about. I'm not an ex-pro. Like, I'm not gonna, what do you want? Like, what do you want? And by myself as well. So I was like, right, that's not happening. Anyway, get up there. Literally, I take 2 steps on stage. Boo! I was like, oh my God. So I'm like, right, this is fine. Just talk through it. Maybe let them get their booze out for a bit, and then they'll calm down like sweet little children. And just didn't stop. So I'd probably been talking for about 20 seconds, and everyone's just booing. And I was like, oh my God, this is so awkward. So I'm like dying inside, and also thinking, what do I do? Like, do I just carry on talking at them whilst they're booing at me? And it's quite like a big space, this is. And it's horrible. Like, it was actually horrible because I hadn't experienced something like that before. And although I was kind of trying to make light of it, it was kind of embarrassing. It wasn't very nice. Like, you're standing there trying to do your job, and you're just getting a bunch of men booing at you. And then I looked, and like, it's like Mark Wright's mates were kind of a lot of the ones that were kind of booing as well. And I kind of took the mick out of what one of them was wearing, because I was like, if you're going to come at me, I'm going to come at you, bro. And then Mark Wright, now I don't want to paint him in a bad light here, because I actually think, he'd had a couple of drinks. I also think he thought he was helping me out. He kind of got on stage and did this look at me like a kind of, don't worry, I've got this sort of thing.
Almost like bailing you out.
Yeah, took my mic, and I was like, that's my microphone. And just, he was like, right. There's only one thing for this. Southgate, and starts like singing different England songs. And then everyone obviously starts singing with him. And I'm standing there smiling, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to kill you. I hate you so much right now. This is so fun. And obviously I'm singing along, because I'm like, I'm not just going to stand here like a tool, just like awkwardly. But it was a bit mortifying. I think he did think that he was genuinely helping me and trying to like diffuse a situation. But also I was a bit like, dude, it was a lot of the people that you were with that were also booing. How about you say to them, mate, I know what it's like, because he does some presenting now. Guys, what are you doing? Leave the girl alone. Like, do you know what I mean? So I just thought, there were other ways that you could have handled this better. And I think you thought that you were helping, but actually it was very embarrassing. And then, we kind of wrapped it up. And then another guy, bless him, comes up to the side of the stage and he was like, because then Mark had stopped. So I took my mic back. And then I was like, no, whilst you're up here, I'm going to ask you some football questions. So I was like, Mark, what did you make of the first half? And he was kind of like, oh, I was thinking, yeah, this is happening. We had a bit of a chat and then he went off. And I was like, Mark, right, everyone. And then this other like young guy comes towards the stage and he was like, hi. And I was like, hello. He was like, can I sing a song? And I was like, you know what? Apparently it's karaoke tonight. So sure, here you go. But at least he asked. And then he came on stage and he sang a song very nicely. And then he was like, thank you so much. Gave me back the mic. So I'm like, this is actual chaos. Like, this has just been an absolute disaster. And I walked off and I was like, that was awful. And they were, the team sort of hosting it all were like, we're so sorry. Like, that was horrible to witness. Like, they're such horrible people.
Yeah, they threw you in the deep end there.
Yeah.
That is a real
It was
story.
horrible. And then the girl was basically like, right, Nicole, you don't have to go back on for full time. And I was like, oh, I had no intention of going back on. Like, the whole thing was kind of a stupid idea. Like, you didn't need anyone hosting. There was such a big atmosphere already there. You didn't need anyone hosting it.
So out of the 3 jobs we've talked about, you had the Top Shop on Boxing Day, the Euros on stage getting booed, or the worst day as a runner. What is the worst out of the 3?
Being booed. 100%. Honestly, like, that made, because the other jobs, they were quite fun. They were stressful and there were points about them that were quite horrible, really, at times, but they were also quite nice experiences. Whereas just being booed, that was actually just horrible.
There is almost no like redemption.
There was no saving that. There was nothing. I think I maybe had some good chicken. That was about it.
So I feel like I probably already know the answer, but we're getting all our guests to rate their job out of
God.
5. So if you could give that job, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best.
0.75. -2? Can I do mine?
I had a feeling it was going to be really low. That is by far the lowest rating we've had the whole season.
Honestly, like, the thing is, because I'm laughing about it, genuinely mortifying. Slightly traumatized by it. Shout out Mark Wright.
You've kind of showed that, like, even your dream job, you can have some really terrible experiences.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So we're moving on to the part of the show now called listener questions. Basically, we just get our listeners to submit questions that they want me to ask you. So I've got them written down here.
Oh, I'm nervous.
You're a big Arsenal fan. How's that going?
You know what? If you asked me a month ago, I'm at a point now, I've almost detached myself a bit from Arsenal, in the sense of, when you've had years of it being quite bad, I get to a point where I don't even really get angry or sad anymore. I'm at this point where I've had to create it myself, where I'm almost quite unemotional now, because I've got this form of detachment where I've just had to step back a bit, because otherwise you find yourself getting so wound up and just like bickering with my friends. A lot of my friends are Spurs fans, weirdly how it's worked out. And they'd always try and send me memes and stuff. And it's got to a point where they don't send me stuff anymore because they can't, I'm untrollable. That's what you have to get to that point where you're like, you know what? So you can send me anything. You can laugh because I'll laugh with you, because I don't care anymore.
You're not taking the bait anymore.
No, I can't. I literally cannot be baited anymore. But saying that, so I was actually away with my mum on the first game of the season against Brentford, and we watched it. We're in Cyprus and we went to this little bar and got the guy, bless him, to like put it on for us. And it was rubbish. And I was like, right, you know what? And that's when I felt like I wasn't even reacting that much anymore, because when you just get so used to disappointment. But I say that, which makes me sound so negative. But right now, we're in a good place. It's going well right now. And also not working there anymore is quite good, because when I was there, you had to be so positive. You couldn't ever tweet or say anything on social media that was like remotely sort of not even negative, even if it was just saying the plain honest truth. Like, if you'd lost and had a bad game, everything had to be very positive and pro Arsenal, and that's hard when you're doing badly. So now I'm like, I can say what I want. Obviously I don't troll anyone because I'm nice.
I quite like chatting to Arsenal fans because they are all exactly the same.
It's like bitter.
Yeah, just a bit bitter. I'm a Newcastle fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Happy in some ways?
Oh yeah, I'm happy at the minute.
Yeah.
I'll be happier in January. But
but it depends. Do you think you're going to go down?
No.
Really?
No, probably not. Hopefully not. You're a female presenter in a football field, which is, like you've said, predominantly male. And again, you said that you don't really take bait on social media anymore. Like, how is like the level of trolling you get? Do you get it a lot?
Do you know what? I am quite lucky that I don't, generally speaking. I think when I first started, especially Arsenal, because they have such a big fan base, I wouldn't really get trolled as such, but sometimes I would read comments. And, oh God, I've learned over the years.
Never read the comments.
Never read the comments section. Because you know what? You get nothing out of it. Like, why are you reading the comments? It's curiosity. That's what it is. And maybe an ego thing, right? You want to see what people are saying about you. But it's never going to end well because and this is a thing, you realize like 100 people will say lovely things about you and one person will say something mean, and that's the only thing you remember. You don't think about any of the other positive things that people were saying. You only pick up on the horrible thing. And actually, you know what? I've not had it often. I think, again, but this is the thing. When I was at Arsenal, I was there for like 2.5 years. I would have got so many lovely messages from different people across that time. The only one I can literally remember is someone tweeting, atting me, which is also weird. Why are you atting someone, right? If you feel the need to say something mean about people on social media, why do you feel the need to tag them in it? I don't know, weird. Atted me and said, Nicole Holliday, has such an annoying voice or something like that. And I was like, do I? But again, nothing like, who cares? What do I care about this guy saying that? But that's literally the only thing that I remember from that time in the sense of like tweets or anything. When I figured out I wanted to do presenting.
And how old were you when you worked that out?
About 20, 21. Okay. I remember one conversation I had with a girl also called Nicole, and she was like, I could really see you doing something like T4, which is when T4 was a thing. And I was like, yeah, I'd actually love that. Like, I love meeting people. I love chatting to people. I think that's like a strength of mine. And then anyway, so that started to spiral. And then I thought, right, now I know what I want to do. How does one go about it? And I remember just stalking a few, not actually stalking, online stalking a few presenters. And I think it was like Dermot O'Leary, a few others. And I was like, right, let's go on their pages on Wikipedia. Where did they start? How did they get into it? And quite a few of them had been runners. So I thought, right, okay, that's one way in maybe. And then again, weirdly, my dad was in law. Worked with a young lawyer who he was kind of helping out and giving her quite a lot of work. They were chatting one day and she said, my other half works at a post-production company in Soho. Do you want me to see if Nicole can get a job there? So then anyway, went and had a chat there, got a job as a runner. And yeah, I was kind of like, this is how it all starts. That's absolutely not how it all started. Like, I was there for maybe 2.5, 3 years. I worked so hard.
So being a runner, you're basically like at the bottom of the production.
You are a
kind of like
T-wench. Yes, you are. I mean, obviously there's different forms. If you're kind of a production runner, I'd like to think you maybe do a bit more.
Is that what you did?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I did not. Unfortunately, it was post-production. And you're basically, so it's basically a bunch of edit suites. And you have this kitchen. And you're based in the kitchen. And I'll set it up for you. So I get in, I had a lot of early shifts. I got to a point where I was a head runner because I was actually very good at my job and I took it really seriously.
Really good at making the cups of tea.
So good at making tea. But you'd get in at 7 a.m. I'd set up all the suites. So I'd have like fruit bowls in, water, bottles, cups, whatever. Oh God, this is so boring. I do apologize. And then anyway, then they'd start to trickle in and you'd get like the breakfast rush. So there'd be a few of you at this point in the kitchen and you'd get calls coming in and you'd answer and it'd be like, one of the buildings, the names, they were named, the building was called William. And so each suite was after a famous William. So you'd get Shakespeare calling or whatever, and you'd answer, and they'd be like, hi, can we have a tea for two, and can I have white toast with peanut butter and a little bit of butter, and can I get a fruit bowl, and can I get and I'd be like, hello, the fruit bowl's already in your room. And then you'd go, okay, cool, write it down, start making that. Then you'd get another call, and it would all kick off. And yeah, you'd basically just be making people's breakfast. And then you'd go in, put the breakfast down, and then, you know, after about an hour, there'd be this awkward thing of you'd have to collect all the trays and everything, and then there'd be editing away, and you'd stand outside, weirdly looking through the glass window and kind of try and judge how awkward it is at that moment in time to walk in. And then you'd do the same for lunch, and you'd go out and buy it. You know what? It's so weird. It is such a weird thing that people do, because you get to a point where you're like, why don't you just go out and get your own lunch, mate? It's actually very strange. Or come in here, make your own tea. It's very weird that is a thing that still happens now, and it's so normal, and it's such a done thing.
So did you use like the running to get a presenter job?
No, I didn't. So, you know, you're getting these big people coming into the company, but I can't really utilize the contacts yet at that point, because who am I? Do you know what I mean? And they're working on such big things. I'm not going to be like, oh, ITV person. Yeah. I know Dermot O'Leary's great and all, but how about me? Like, what have I done? I don't have a show reel. I don't have anything, you know? And I thought, you know what? I need to free up my time a bit more if I want to really try and go for presenting. So I basically stopped working there as a runner in the week and took on weekend shifts there. So then I had quite a lot of time just sat at a desk, and I started to watch a lot more football. So I was always quite into football. My family are big football fans, and grew up as an Arsenal fan, lived in North London, born in North London. So I just watched a lot of football, and then I tweet about it quite a lot. And at this point, I have no social media following at all, like nothing. All I do is a kind of quite rogue little Sky show that no one knows about, that's barely paid, and that's it. But I start tweeting a bit about Arsenal, and then getting, you know, a decent little bit of engagement, I suppose, so having some exchanges with people online. And then I was just kind of like, right, it's been maybe a year and a bit of doing that, presenting that show. Nothing's happened. My life is exactly the same. What am I going to do? And obviously everyone's on YouTube at this point. And I was like, you know what? Bit of a niche, being a female talking about football. I'm just going to make some YouTube videos. So I made some terrible YouTube videos. Literally made about 4, learnt to edit and stuff. Probably, again, terribly. And it was just kind of like post-match reaction videos to Arsenal games. And I literally made 4. So this is quite lucky, I think. Well, I say lucky, but then I guess I put myself out there, was making the content and stuff. But an Arsenal producer happened to, I don't even know, and I never asked him, and I always should have, happened to see one of the videos. And I got a DM on Twitter, and it was like, hey, Nicole, I'm Carl. I work at Arsenal. I've seen some of your videos. Long story short, we're looking for a presenter. Would you be interested in coming in for a chat? Now, I thought I was being catfished, because I was like, no.
Being lured into something.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to end up in like some form of basement or something. Like,
so out the blue to receive it.
Yeah. And it's not like my videos went viral. They had maybe 50 views, probably all my mum, just refreshing. Like, and they weren't great by any means. Gosh, they were probably quite tragic. So I was kind of like, no, surely not. And then he asked for my email, because I thought, you know what, catfish, I'll go along with it. Like, I'm going to humour you for a bit, and then I'll have the last laugh. And so I gave him my email address, and then he emailed me, and it was like an Arsenal email address. And I was like, oh my God, he's legit. And then, yeah, he basically said, can you come in for a chat? So I went in, met them. And then they said, right, we need someone. We've got a partnership with Facebook Lives, were the thing at that point. We've got a new partnership with them. We need to do X amount of videos a month, and they have to be a minimum of 10 minutes long, which, you know, with players and stuff can be quite tricky. That kind of sounds easy, 10 minutes of just talking, but actually not actually that easy, especially with professional footballers. So they basically said, we need someone who can just talk for quite some time, and you seem like you actually might be quite good at that. Can you come in for a screen test? I was like, I am getting this job. I am getting this job. Like, this is it. I need to get this. And so I knew the screen test was going to be them giving me a phone and like selfie mode and me doing a 10-minute live stream from Arsenal tube station to Emirates Stadium and kind of chatting to fans and just doing like a sort of, hey guys, I'm Nicole. I'm here at Arsenal for Arsenal versus whoever. La la la. Right, let's go on a little walk, chat to some fans. La la la. I kind of knew what the format of the audition would be. So me and my mum, bless her, she came with me and we went there about a week before and I mapped out the walk. I mapped out like the walk I was going to do, almost like points of interest, like some of the statues and stuff. And I kind of did like a little 10-minute video myself of what I was going to do and scripted it a little bit, very loosely, because they wanted it to be quite a chilled vibe, obviously. And I didn't want to seem like a lunatic that had like completely scripted the whole thing. But I was just like, I need to get this job. So I am going to make sure, because I think preparation is so key. And some of my presenter friends laugh at me because I go in on preparation for jobs. But I think it's so important. And the more prepared I am, the less nervous I am. So I was just like, I need to know exactly what I'm doing. And then I went there and I smashed it. And the live, we didn't actually do a live thing. Can you imagine if the audition was a proper like live feed going out on Arsenal's Facebook? But it was like a little pre-recorded thing as live. And then they got me to do some stuff in front of a green screen and whatnot. And it went really well. And I knew it went really well. And they all kind of said, it went really well. We'll let you know in a couple of days. But, you know, you're kind of the only person that we've properly auditioned. Then I got that. But it's funny because I was so sure that I'd got it as well. And I was like, I've never been so determined, I think, to get the job. But yeah, how it came about was mad. That like, I barely did anything, you know, I only did a few YouTube videos. So it was so lucky how that happened, especially when you don't have any audience or anything. And you're literally just going, oh, this is me. I've never done anything like this before. Friends, family, like I almost felt quite embarrassed at points. And then obviously I got the job and they were like, yeah, you know those videos you did where you're kind of slating quite a lot of our players? Do you mind hiding them? And I was like, anything for you.
I think that's natural. They were always going to do that.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course.
So as an Arsenal fan, that must have been like almost a dream job.
Oh, it was amazing.
So for the listeners, what are you working on currently?
What am I working on currently? I am working with William Hill for the next couple of years, which is cool, especially as a freelancer. When you get like a sort of long-term contract, that is pretty nice. Doing like match preview videos and stuff like that for them. And then I'm going to the darts with them soon, which will be really cool. I went to the darts for the first time just before the pandemic at Ali Pali. And it was an experience.
I've never been to the darts, but it's something I really want to go to.
Yeah, I'd never been, and it was actually really fun. It was really cool. And so I'll be going to the darts with them soon and just doing some really fun content.
So if you could go back in time and give yourself some advice, like a teenage version of yourself, what would it be?
Gosh. You know what? I wish I jumped on, I'm moaning about YouTube and stuff like that. I wish I jumped on that bandwagon when it was like first a thing, because God, they all just absolutely took over the internet and have made so much money. It's hard, isn't it? Because you've got to, especially when you've got a passion, and I'm lucky that I knew what I wanted to do. I still have friends now who still don't really even know what they want to do, and they're in jobs and they don't love them, and they're kind of like, what am I doing with my life? I think it's great if you know what you want to do and you have a passion, and you just kind of have to follow it, don't you? Like it is literally riding a wave. It can be so up and down, but you just got to go for it and just say yes to opportunities that come your way if obviously they're the right things, and do as much as you can and learn as much as you can and work hard and be nice. You know what? That's so important. That's honestly something that I think about whenever I'm working on something. I always want people to actually just think I'm also quite a nice person, because people won't want to work with you again if they think you're horrible, or if you were really hard work. Yeah, if you were hard work, if you were difficult, like if you're nice and you do a good job and you're a decent person, then you will go further, because people won't want to, and I've heard some stories from other presenters in the industry, and people talk, and, it's a small industry.
So how much does your social media kind of feed into this? And what advice would you give young people that are trying to, brush up their social media skills to try and do something similar?
Oh, you know what? It's hard because I have such a love-hate relationship with social media.
Is yours quite like a corporate social media?
I think so, yeah. So for instance, like when I'm chatting to guys on dating apps, and fair play, we all want to stalk everyone, right? We don't want to be catfished. I get it. I'm also like MI5. I will find you. Well, that's very Liam Neeson Taken vibes, isn't it? But we all want to know what we're getting ourselves into, right? But I hate it when people are like, oh, do you have Instagram? Because on like dating profiles, I don't put anything to do with like what I do in pictures or writing. I don't know. I just don't. So when someone wants to look at my Instagram, I'm like, oh, by the way, like it's a bit cringe because it's very just like me. Like it's not, if I had like a proper personal one, it would be like me and my mates, or do you know what I mean? It's very, I do treat it like a work. It's almost like a CV as well. I don't have a CV now. I have a show reel, but people often don't ask to see that. They'll do nowadays, a lot of stuff and messages and stuff I get is from social media to do with work. And they'll go on Twitter or Instagram and look and see what you're doing. It is literally a CV now. So I do treat it more like a work space, I suppose. You've got to use it. If you want to be doing something creative in media, you can get a lot of work out of it. And I think it is important, which I probably don't do enough in feed because I do treat it a bit like a CV, to show your personality, because that's what's unique. That's what's going to set you aside. And honestly, like I do, speaking of like trolling and stuff, I actually get so many lovely messages on Instagram, DM requests, and it will be like, actually yesterday it was just this guy being like, hi Nicole, I just wanted to say like you make me laugh like every day. I think you're
that's
like
really nice.
You're really funny, and like just keep being you, sort of thing. And I get stuff like that quite a lot, and I'm like, what do I mean, I'm probably a bit weird on Instagram stories, I don't know, but I think I'm just like really myself. And I mainly post about food, if I'm honest, but I think people like that. And I think if you're authentic and just try and get your personality across and create your own content, that's the magic of this online realm now, is that you can create your own content. I mean, yeah, look at me with the Arsenal YouTube videos. Granted, don't expect to make 4 YouTube videos and suddenly get found by someone. But if you want to make your own content, it's so easy now. Well, I say easy, but you can go viral. It is, there's a big space for people to make their own content and for it to be picked up and for it to go places. And so you've just got to put yourself out there, put in the work and be creative, I suppose.
So before we wrap up, is there any final advice you'd give our listeners?
You know what? Just go for it. I think if you're going to try and do something, and especially something like in my industry, like creative, I suppose, in the media, whatever, just go for it, because you, especially like as a youngster, you have time on your side, right? You can just go a bit wild, be creative, put yourself out there. And then when you're a bit older, you can always get a real job or go down a different route, right? If things maybe haven't taken off the way you want them to. But I think if you don't fulfill, I've got some friends that didn't actually pursue their, I guess, dream job. And I think they will always regret that. And you will never be truly happy, I don't think, in what you are doing unless you've given it a real shot. And you go for it and put yourself out there, be creative, work hard. And honestly, I do think being nice is so important. And do your research, do your prep. It makes such a difference. Like work hard and don't just turn up for a job, or don't just turn up and think that you can wing it, because you can't, and you will be found out at some point. Make sure you put in the effort and it will be noted. And yeah, I think you've just got to give it 110%. Oh God, how cringe. But it's true, and just go for it. And then, I would have always regretted if I didn't give presenting a shot. I would have always regretted it. And I can joke and I can laugh with my friends about like, oh, one day I might actually get like a real job. But I love what I do. And I think a lot of people can't say that about their jobs, which is a shame, right? So I think go for the thing you're passionate about and really, really commit to it and give it a shot. And who knows? Like, and in this day and age with social media, with everything like that, I think in a way it's harder because it's more competitive in some aspects, right? But there are so many more avenues and routes to explore. And you can do really big, bold things and be seen by more people. And there are more platforms. So yeah, just give it your best shot.
Just go for it.
Just go for it. You got one life, YOLO, like the kids say.
That's some really great advice. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
That's all right. For the listeners, you can follow Nicole over on Instagram at Nicole Holliday X or on Twitter at just Nicole Holliday.
God, I'm so boring.
And thank you so much for listening. That's a wrap on season 1. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure you leave us a 5-star review so we can come back for season 2. This has been I'd Quit But I'm Broke, presented by Student Beans. Make sure you follow us over on @StudentBeans on Instagram and TikTok, and I'll see you next time.